Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to this special broadcast on Sansad TV. I am Tina Jha. 2024 marks 75 years of diplomatic ties between India and Denmark. Both countries have had diplomatic relations since 1949, which is based on historical links, common democratic traditions and shared desire for regional as well as international peace and stability. In September 2020, both countries elevated their bilateral relationship to the level of green strategic partnership during a virtual summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen. At the start of 2024, Denmark announced its Green Fuels Alliance India, the GFAI initiative, to boost collaborative efforts between both countries in the area of sustainable energy solutions. How significant is this initiative in promoting sustainable energy growth in the country? How will this collaboration help both India and Denmark advance their joint goal towards carbon neutrality? We'll try and understand all this and much more from the Ambassador of Denmark to India, Mr. Freddie Swain, who joins us on this special broadcast. Ambassador Swain, thank you very much for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV.
Thank you.
As both countries celebrate a historic 75 years in their relationship, let me begin first by posing this question to you on how do you see the relationship having evolved over the course of 75 years between India and Denmark?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I think it's a great platform to address a little bit where we are and what kind of future we are looking into. It's very important that two big countries, we are small and India is big, of course, but we are big in the sense that we are driving for the same end goal, which is sustainability and net zero societies. Our relationship started in 1949. We opened diplomatic ties, and today we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties. We have been so dedicated on securing that the skills that we have from Denmark, we are not teaching nor preaching to you what to do. We will be a source of inspiration. We'll also like to be inspired by you. So we started in the 1960s by giving development assistance, then it was phased out, and since 2008 we saw India as an emerging market. We have now realized, luckily, that India is no longer a market, it's a place where you can come with your skills and you can see how we can build up an alliance. And the Green Strategic Partnership that was concluded with our Prime Minister and your Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi in fact took its first departure back in May 2011 when I met the former Chief Minister of Gujarat and Narendra Modi, and we sat and discussed about how we could do more in that field, and that really laid the seeds for what we have seen today. So we are with you, but we are not teaching nor preaching to you what to do. We would like to inspire you.
That takes me to the next question, Ambassador. The fact that you said you bring the skills, India has the scale. So how are we in that sense collaborating skills and scale which will help us both? And through Green Strategic Partnership, where do we expect this kind of collaboration to head to?
It's already up and running. We have four major tracks, water being one of them, energy another one, then climate, and of course green financing. Water, we are into all parts of the water-related activities, from non-revenue water, which is water being pumped into the distribution systems, and for whatever reason it does not reach the end users. In Denmark, it's 4 to 5% on average. Here, it's hard to find any place where it's below 50%. It goes without saying that water is a gift from Mother Earth, and we have to really to secure that this resource is being spent wisely and efficiently. So therefore, we are working with that. We are the only country partner to the Jal Jeevan mission, which is one of the missions that Honorable Prime Minister launched, which is bringing tap water, functional tap water, to each and every rural household. We are part of that. We are proud. We are supporting a number of districts in Assam, in UP, in Tamil Nadu, and in Rajasthan. Energy is another part. We just saw the government formally announcing the first offshore wind project, and we have been having a center of excellence with our Indian friends for some time. We have been instrumental in building up the wind power industry in India. So we will bring our skills to that extent as well. But it's not only about scale and skills, it's also about scope. Whatever we are doing should not just be for the two of us, India and Denmark, should go beyond that. Speed, another thing which is important, we are looking into the Sustainable Development Goals. We have to deliver by 2030, it's just around the corner. Yeah. We also have to fight the climate changes. We can't just say that we have climate change. We have a climate that has changed. We see it here in Delhi, so we have to work together. Last but not least, we also need to bring in sustainability, because we have to live in balance with Mother Earth, and therefore when Honorable Prime Minister launched his Mission for Life during the G20, or as kind of precursor for the G20 presidency, I felt so happy personally, because I believe that no one can ask a government to do everything for oneself. You have to take responsibility. So individual responsibility is part of that. And next S I hope to see will be science, because we need to innovate, we need to develop solutions, and that can India do far better than many others, because you look into affordability and resilience. So this is the 5 S's. Perhaps the 6th S will be joined soon.
Perfect. So several of those points that lead me to my next questions. Let me begin with to understand first about the contribution in the Jal Jeevan Mission. That happens to be an ambitious project. A lot of Indians would love to know, how is Denmark helping India in the Jal Jeevan Mission? And this is a mission that every Indian particularly resonates to, because it is through this mission that clean water is going to be supplied, and in fact is being supplied to every household.
Indeed.
So the kind of contribution that is coming from Denmark.
We do it in the following way. We bring financial support through an UN organization called UNOPS, and they are operating here and they are supporting the Jal Jeevan Mission. So we have, in the first initial phase, we selected 11 districts as an example. In UP, I went to many of the villages to see how it was progressing and so forth. And I've seen all the women self-help groups taking charts, developing procedures for testing the water quality, because it's not just sufficient to get water and so forth. So wherever I'm traveling, I always take the earliest possible flight, and then I would like to go to a village to see the village coming live in the morning, and then sit talking to the panchayats and all that to see what kind of impact it has had. The same we do in Assam, in Rajasthan, and in Tamil Nadu, big time. So I think it has come really, really far, but the speed has to be secured.
Of course, when we say expanding cooperation, that's what the Green Partnership between India and Denmark has been doing. You also spoke about how the collaboration is not just at the level of speed and scale, but also the scope. So in that sense, if I may ask you about the kind of impact we expect the Green Energy Partnership to have on the Agenda 2030 SDGs and also on the Paris Agreement.
Just one example. India, together with France, launched the International Solar Alliance. We have just decided to second an expert that will help the International Solar Alliance with bringing solar power to Africa. So an international organization tapping into one of the good gifts from Mother Earth, the planet, and then try to combine this with what is the need of the hour, not only in India but across. So that's what we are doing as an example. It's so important that we bring the skills that we have to whatever India needs, but also to take it to other places of this planet to see how we can work and how we can secure that we all have a better living. I come from a part of the world where we don't have too many worries. We think we have, but anyhow we have 24/7 supply of water, electricity, but that's not the case many places in India. That's not the case in Africa and so forth. Therefore we have to work, and I'm happy that Denmark and India jointly and also through the International Solar Alliance, as an example, we can work together.
Tell us also about the GFAI, the Green Fuels Alliance India. Is it part of the Green Strategic Partnership, and the scope and the scale that you expect this initiative to have, the areas that this initiative is working towards? So lots of questions related to the GFAI.
No, but right and very specific questions. when we talk about the Green Fuel Alliance, that's also about how to bring new fuels that are not fossil-based fuels into a number of very important sectors, like could be the aviation sector, it could be the shipping sector. And when it comes to the shipping sector, we know that this sector is catering for a huge let's say footprint of CO2 and so forth. Therefore, we need to develop fuels that are green, and they can be produced here in India. It could be in Tamil Nadu, it could be in Maharashtra or in Gujarat and so forth. And what we need is to get rid of the fossil fuel era and then jump into that. And therefore we have created this alliance, which mainly will consist and is consisting of Danish companies who are bringing in technologies, and we also have Indian partners along. And that's so important because you will also have to build up your shipping sector. I met with the Honorable Shipping Minister Sonowal yesterday. We discussed that, and we have agreed to take this alliance forward in order also to make India competitive in logistics, transportation and all that. And with all the decisions that the new government already has taken on the offshore wind and ports being expanded for offshore wind related activities, that will also be a brilliant place for green hydrogen as an example, or other green fuels, methanol, ethanol and so forth. That's the future.
So you said it's also important because it helps us grow sustainably. Yeah. So how does JFAI work in that regard? That sustainable growth for India, which is very important. India is now the most populated country in the world.
That's true, but there are two aspects to it. There's the generation of jobs. India obviously has a lot of youngsters joining the world labor market every month. We like to be part of efforts to secure that new jobs can be generated, and we see green fuels as a new business where new jobs can be generated. We also need skilling. In our part of the world, we have come very far, at least in Denmark, with the green transition. So we are giving up the fossil fuel and moving towards green energy sources, but we lack a lot of skilled labor forces, and that's why later today, hopefully, I'll meet the Minister of State in charge of skilling, where we'll discuss how can we build up capacity, institutions and so forth here in India that can help our companies, Indian companies here in India, but also help bringing skilled labor force, for instance, to Denmark at some point of time. So it's a win-win, and we need really to secure that the green transition, green growth is not just buzzwords when you meet with the climate framework or at summits and so forth. We need to take it from words to actions. That's what we are doing with this Green Fuels Alliance.
Are we also working towards increasing mobilization as far as climate finance is concerned?
Yes, we are doing whatever we can. We have private funds coming in. They're investing big in India from our side. We obviously also have state-owned funds, and they have a special window for green investments in India. And then we have, certainly not to forget, and perhaps the most important part of it, the private sector, and especially companies who are also investing in new solutions, new technologies, and that is also part of that kind of stream towards a reality, not a future, because future is a reality here, but to secure that we are really giving it scale, and we will do that.
We've spoken about how green strategic partnership is something that has guided our relationship since 2020, and we hope to achieve the benefits not just for ourselves but for the entire world at large. In about 4 years, what is the kind of progress that you see in this green strategic partnership? Do you also expect both countries to step up in the times to come as far as collaboration between industry, between academia, between research is concerned?
Yes, obviously, and I think we already laid the foundation for that. This February, our two foreign ministers signed an agreement on mobility and migration. and that will obviously also be part of that kind of ecosystem that will secure that we have collaboration. We can have clever, smart Indians coming to Denmark, enriching our, let's say, academia and our research institutions. By the way, we have a lot of Indian researchers in Denmark, and last year, in fact, the highest number of work permits given to any nationality, the highest numbers were given to Indian nationals. So we are already there. Obviously, we also need to have the companies to invest more. We have close to 200 companies, and which is quite a big number for the size of Denmark, and they are all investing in India because they see and they know that the future lies with India. India is a growth engine, but it's also a transformative engine for all of us in the world that would like to see sustainability, a better, greener, and safer world.
You spoke about Indians in Denmark, close to 20,000 Indians, which include the NRIs, the PIOs, they are there in Denmark. How do you see their role in strengthening India-Denmark ties? We've traversed a long journey of 75 years together.
They are so important because they bring in different perspectives, and they are saying that without all our good friends from India serving Denmark, living in Denmark, contributing to Denmark's wealth and future, without the Indians, we would not do as well as we are, in fact, are doing. So Indians are a kind of important, vital source for making Denmark and our contribution to the world, our contribution with India in our collaborative efforts far better, more focused, and we'll see more, and we wish to see even more Indians coming to Denmark.
What is the kind of cultural significance that you see of the Indians living there? And I saw a couple of your videos as well. You seem to be you're driving an auto on the streets of Delhi, and you're talking about the rich diversity, the rich cultural heritage of India. So in that context, if I try and understand from you, the Indians who are living there, the cultural relations, how have they enhanced?
I think they have enhanced and they have enriched our society a lot. I recall I had never been to India before, me and my family. We had never been to India before we got posted here first time in 2010. But then, of course, we had to dig into Indian culture. And then when we came back on visits and so forth, we tried to find real India in Denmark. It was hard. There was not much of real India. But now, the last 3, 4, 5 years, perhaps, we have seen so many Indian restaurants coming up, really genuine restaurants. So you can have dal makhani and all that, and you feel really at home, even in Denmark. We have had a cultural exchange over the years, and that is going and has already expanded to such a level that people feel a lot of familiarity, but they also feel at home when they see Indian artists being exhibited in Denmark and vice versa out here. And we also have a special agreement on cultural exchanges, so we also have had a number of activities, and when our then Crown Prince and Crown Princess visited India back in 2023 in March. We also brought in Danish performing artists and so forth, and I also recall that the former Minister of State, Meenakshi Lekhi, took a lot of initiatives. So we also did, we were part of a textile exhibition. We also had a silverware exhibition, because Denmark and India, we have very proud tradition when it comes to that kind of craftsmanship. Right. And one perhaps interesting history, back 400 years or so, plus, we started buying up textiles in the southern part of India, and I'm a student of history, so I was sitting at the National Archives in Copenhagen, and suddenly I found a lot of samples from Tamil Nadu mainly, or cottons, and thousands of them. So when we decided to do a little bit more in the cultural kind of sector, we brought in some of the real samples from that time, and the minister at that time and me and my wife, we decided to dress up in fabric that was imported at that time, so we had it redone, and it shows that we had and we have a history, but we are much more interested in the future.
Absolutely, that defines the India-Denmark relationship.
Exactly.
We are also looking to expand our bilateral relations in strategic areas of defense, of maritime security. How do you see us collaborating in the newer areas also?
I think it's a must, given the size, the importance of India being what India is, what India is going to be, but also given the, unfortunately, we see a lot of conflicts here, there, and everywhere. The Indo-Pacific obviously is a very, very important. Freedom of navigation is very, very dear to us. As an example, Denmark is a global shipping power. Our vessels are crossing all the waters and seas of this planet, and therefore we have to work with countries, nations that have the same kind of values and is a profound supporter of these global universal principles. And therefore we look into a number of new fields, and I think we have already started the work doing that, and I don't see any limits to it. Of course, it will take a while, but we are ready, and hopefully India is ready too.
I'll come back to your views on India. You've been here quite a significant number of years. You said you came to India first in 2010. How do you see India having changed from 2010 to now? You must have traveled to several of our cities. What has been the most special thing about India, according to you?
And I have seen, because I have crisscrossed your lovely nation many times, and I have seen an increased self-confidence, I would say. And perhaps I can put it in the following way. In 2015 I left, and I came back in 2019. I've been asked what were the big differences from your first tenure to the second tenure. And I said three things. Digitization had picked up enormously. I mean, UPI, whatever you have, and as a driver, and we all have to admire what India, and under the vice leadership of your Prime Minister, what you have achieved, but also with the private sector and so forth. Secondly, self-confidence. You might have daily challenges and so forth, but the self-confidence, being an Indian and being part of a nation that is really becoming a landmark economically and in other ways, that adds to the pride, and you feel proud of being serving this country. The third part is what your Foreign Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, called the Indian way. And the Indian way is defining what is, of course, in India's interest. And India has decided to stay where India has to stay, after my personal view, and strong, independent India is the best guarantee for those of us who believe in freedom, in multilateralism, universal principles. Therefore, the Indian way, I think, is a landmark, and it reflects where India should be and how India should be seen as a partner for all of us who think and believe and trust that this great nation will be the lighthouse of the future for all of us.
Absolutely, very rightly put, Ambassador. India is one of the largest and one of the fastest growing economies and very resilient as well in the times of crisis. But the fact is, the collaboration with Denmark helps us in many ways. Denmark specializes in certain fields, and it is this collaboration which will help India scale. And then, as our Prime Minister rightly said, together the skill and the scale and add the scope to it will make a huge impact on the entire world. So 75 years of India-Denmark relationship, and let's hope that in the times to come there are newer areas in which we expand our cooperation and this relationship sees newer heights. Once again, thank you, Ambassador, for joining us on the program, sharing your thoughts about India-Denmark relationship, and also giving us insights about how you've seen India change over the years. It's been a delight speaking to you about all of these issues.
Thank you very much indeed. It was great being with you. And one thing, never forget that India is moving 24/7. We sleep during the nighttime and hope things have changed, but you never sleep here. Things are just
That's evolving. What the ambition is, 24/7 towards 2047.
Yeah, exactly.
So that having been said, we'll have to wind up the program. Thank you to you viewers for your valuable time.
To watch more programs of Sunset TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.